Incredible opener.
We're really good. We're very professional. We're not going to give any context as to why we're entering like that. It's all fine. I've got more people in my basement. How would you guys like to introduce yourself? Let's go first. See who goes first. This is always my favorite bit. I've got no friends.
I'm sorry.
Hi,
normally
everyone.
someone's going first.
Hi everyone. My name's Morgan. I'm from the LARPs and TARPs podcast, and I played Jack Danford at Oasis 2.
You want me to go
first? Oh yeah. So hello, I'm Sol. I guess from the Dead Shattersong Diaries. And here at Oasis, I played Frederick Pierce, or did I?
The intrigue begins. And I'm Mattie. I'm also from the Dead Shattersong Diaries, and I played Eleanor Montrose.
Yeah, as the good professional podcaster that I am, I forgot to say why we're all together, and it's because we went to Oasis too. It was fun. It was great, wasn't it? It was
you also have forgotten to introduce yourself, Millie. I just want to,
I don't. After the amount of LARPs I've done this year, I don't know who I am anymore. There's so many personalities going around in my head right now. I'm Millie. Hello. First time podcaster. And I played Peter P. Yates at Oasis LARP, and it was great. It was fun. I was film crew, got to blow shit up. Definitely didn't base my character on any popular EYELARP crew members at all. And if that person was based on my character, they didn't get any idea. And had no idea. It was so much fun. We'll get into it in a little bit, but yes, for anybody who didn't know, I was basically a copy and paste of H from the Gorgon team, who is the head SFX technician at EYELARP, and he didn't cotton on at all, and it was fucking great.
What is Oasis as a LARP? For anyone who might not know what Oasis is.
Hi, Sol. Thank you for always keeping us on track. This is why we have Sol. So for anyone who doesn't know, Oasis 1 was like 2 years ago now. Whoa. Was the first foray that Kitty did into writing a 1930s sort of horror film set LARP with essentially no mechanics, really, and just complete cinematic experience. Mm-hmm. And Sol and I did it. We loved it. It was a time. It's probably an episode about it. I didn't even remember if we did in the end.
I can't remember.
Maybe there wasn't.
Was it pre-podcast? It might be pre-podcast. No, it can't be pre-podcast. We started at lockdown.
No, because it came after What the Longest Path, which was definitely post-podcast.
So this was your two's second time at an Oasis game. It was Millie's first time playing an Oasis game.
Yes.
And I still have never played an Oasis game.
Why is that, Morgan?
So I had decided pretty firmly that I wanted to crew this game like last year. I spoke to Kitty about it. And she was like, yeah, cool. That sounds like good. And I was like, and she's like, I'll get in touch if we have any NPC roles. Time rolled around. I was like, well, I'll grab a crew ticket. Why not? Fancy giving it a crack. And then that day, pretty soon after the tickets closed, I got a message from Kitty saying, hey, Morgan, how do you feel about playing the big bad for the weekend? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. She's like, cool. Tell everyone you're a player. I'd already told at least one group chat I was crewing this game. So I was like...
I was going to say, yeah, surely you would have said something.
Yeah. I was like, right, time to walk it back. I was like, hey guys, I think it's the system. I kind of regret not playing. It looks like the system's glitched out. There's still a ticket in the basket. Should I grab it? And they're like, yeah, do it. So picked up the ticket.
Nice.
Nice save.
Crazy how people believed me when I said I can't remember which type of character I picked. I was just like, don't know which one it is. And then that was me then having to gaslight all my friends for 6 months that I was always playing Oasis 2.
This thing is what I found quite interesting, because this was the first time I've ever played a system where you have to choose like category of ticket first. So we had you had obviously the crew slots, as in the traditional crewing for a LARP, slots. You had film crew tickets. Then you had cast and security, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we should have a pretty good mix here because I was security. You were film crew.
I was.
Millie.
I was cast, and you were a filthy traitor.
And
so...
traitor, so
No, I was cast. I was there. Now, this is a question that I didn't actually realize. There were supposed to be 10 cast spots. Were there 11 cast members?
Ooh.
I didn't check this.
Unsure.
Yeah, because this was one thing I was like, God, I hope no one realizes that. Because then they're gonna be like, all right.
Does anyone have the call sheet?
Oh, this nerd.
Mattie has the call sheet.
My call sheet is in the other room. I've got the script though. That's got all the lists on it.
I don't know. I don't even remember 10. There was the bear.
Yeah, you got to remember Princess.
The dancing bear.
It was a really funny. So in the build up to all of this, so I guess the thing was you bought a type of ticket, and then you wrote a character and submitted it kind of onto the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And so I was in this tricky position where I didn't know who I was going to play, whereas everyone else was putting things on the Facebook post. But it was very cool. So kind of like, what was everyone's kind of like thinking going into it? So I had like no basis. I was waiting for Kate to tell me what I was doing. Did you guys have like a solid plan? Did you kind of just ad-lib your comment or?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, can confirm there were 11 cast members with you included. So no one did the maths on that one, apparently.
Nope.
Which is wild. But they've done it really cleverly because they put 2 in one paragraph. So if you were quickly scanning through, it does look like 10.
I think this is probably a spoiler for later as well, but there are some names on that list that we probably recognize from a previous Oasis. So I don't think it's out of the question either. Like, we wouldn't be thinking it was.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't suspicious to us.
No.
At all. There was no suspicion. Also, I don't know if Matilda's on that list as well. I didn't check.
But yes, it's a good question. Mattie, I'm pretty sure you must have had an idea about who you were going as when you bought this ticket.
Yeah, well, the first Oasis, the tickets released on my birthday and I was desperate to go and I didn't get a ticket and then I managed to finally buy an acting ticket off someone. So I've done a lot of acting in the past. I was a theatre kid. It's my uni degree and everything. So I was like, yeah, of course I want to play an actor. That sounds amazing. For this one, I was like, maybe I'll do something different. But also, I really want to play an actor again. And I managed to get one of the tickets. But last Oasis kind of wrapped up in a really... Like, I knew people were going to be reprising their characters from Oasis 1, because basically everyone died. So for some people, it's like a do-over. Some people, it was just fun characters to play again. They've got the costume or whatever.
Some of us wouldn't be able to bring it back because there were no researchers this time, you know?
Yeah, there were only 3 different categories this time. There were 4 for Oasis 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was also a researcher category. But I think it worked better this way. I think Sol and I both have said that. But for me, mine wrapped up in a really good way. I sort of like joked that I won it last time because I managed to like sort of win it, I guess. It's a really weird way of saying it. There was a whole immortal thing and I ended up being the last person standing. It was a battle royale. I was the last person standing. I became immortal. Some other players also survived, but yeah. So I was like, I don't really want to play that character again because like that story was done. And also, you know, I just want to try something else. It's 2 years ago. I'm 2 years older. I know different people. I know that the characters that the game needs, like you kind of want to try and fit into a bit of a niche that then will keep things moving, maybe like try and avoid some of the issues that they weren't like big issues from Oasis 1, but things that you're like, oh, if there'd been someone to do this, like that might have just eased this little bit up a little bit more.
In a similar vein, I was playing in Oasis 1 a very naive character and blatantly ignoring things that I had picked up on, like OC. In character. It was a very lethargic way, or very cathartic way to play, which is being able to ignore all of the problems. So in this one, I flipped that on its head and went, I'm going to go full investigator and see what happens with that. Try and solve the mystery. And we'll see how that went. But
we played very silly cousins in Oasis 1, and this one we didn't see each other at all.
No.
Not one bit. I mean, my whole concept started with the hair. That was the only thing.
I wasn't necessarily sure I was coming to Oasis. It's not. I didn't buy the ticket late. I did buy it pretty early on, but I was like, I wasn't waiting for the tickets. I was like, I've done it before. Do I want to do it again? Do I want to crew? So I sort of came to it late and went, yeah, security sounds fun. And so it took a little while.
Yeah, like it was always really interesting because when I got my ticket, I knew I didn't want to come as cast. I ummed and ahed originally with like the idea of becoming an AD and just doing my day job. But then I read an article about SFX, so special effects technicians in the film industry, who, for anybody who doesn't know, are the people that do anything that involves like explosions or bullet wounds or weirdly like gore and blood and smoke effects and things like that. That's all special effects in the film industry. In the 1930s, it was art department, and that was where the like SFX came from. And I really like the idea of just being this really old guy who smoked cigarettes around packets of C4 and then like had sticks of dynamite coming out of every single orifice, and I mean every single orifice, and then just like being an absolute just rock star of the film set. And then I hung out with H a little bit at Hoist the Colours. And I realized he is my hero. I want to be this man when I grow up. And I messaged Kitty when I got the ticket and I was like, do you think this could work? Do you think I could trick H into interacting with me all weekend as him? And she was like, my God, we actually have to do this. And we got all of Gorgon involved, which was really great. Like Emma and Dave and Jay, like they all got involved. They all helped me out a lot. And then I turned up on the event and they were like, so you're going to be in charge of setting off all the explosions this weekend? And I was like, you what?
Amazing.
So it's basically, this was my experience for Gorgon work experience, the LARP.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been trying to get in with them for years. So I was like, now this is my only chance.
There were a lot of people actually, like you're in the film industry, you were playing film crew, but there were a lot of people playing film crew who were also in the film industry. Like it seemed to just attract loads of people that wanted to do that.
Busman's holiday.
Yeah.
A lot of the crew were also people in the film industry. So like Ellie, and who else? It was Hazel who played the first AD. And who was the costume designer? Was oh my God, I don't know their OC name. Was it Ariadne?
Yeah, Esme.
Oh yeah, Esme. Oh, yeah.
But also the costume assistant also is a costume.
Yeah, that's Ellie. Ellie was playing.
Oh, that's okay.
Ellie. Oh God, what's her name?
Enid, Ethel.
Yeah, Ethel.
Yeah. I never knew which one it was.
Yeah,
it was my favorite thing because Ellie and I have worked together before loads on at actual work. So watching her be Ellie in the film set, but in the 1930s, oh my God, it was so beautiful and so therapeutic as well.
Yeah,
yeah. There's nothing like we call it a shit show. Like if you're on a shit show production, you know that it's cursed. There's nothing like being on a literally cursed film set in a LARP, but not having the actual real stress of being at work to help therapy. It's just so good. It's just so good. Morgan, because you were undercover crew, right?
Yes.
And you've been telling everybody for months that you were playing.
Yes.
How did you manage to do it on the Friday, for example, when we all came into town?
So the Friday was funny. So there was a couple of things that Kitty hadn't thought about that I did. Were, for example, I was very relieved that there were meal tickets because otherwise me getting food from crew would have been very weird.
Yeah.
I had to think about where I was during the murders as well, which is something because I was going to be doing murders over the weekend. But coming into town was very weird because I was what I was wrestling with all weekend was not getting caught because it was more interesting if I made it to the Sunday, but also not being so kind of hidden about everything that it was boring because it's like because I very could have just not done anything all weekend and then no one would have ever known because there would be no reason to. So I spent the first kind of half trying to kind of vibe out the best way to do that. I think the funniest things was which was actually really nice. I think it felt like I was sat in the first thing we did. I was sat in the bar with Clark Daytona, famous Oscar-winning actor, Mathilde, also famous actor, and stand-up businessman, Mr. Romano. What was his first name? Frank Romano.
Frank.
And I was sat in the bar, and they were asking me what films I'd been on, and I was very stressed because I was sat next to Elsie's character, who my character had been a stuntman for. So to give kind of context onto who my character was, I guess, as a traitor, was that in 1923, the film The Devil and the Dancer was filmed in Spain. And a horrible tragedy happened in that a group of nationalists were let on site and murdered everybody, right? And in the runners to this, there was rumours that it was cursed, the stage production was cursed. Jack Danford, my character, or Jonathan Danford as he was known then, let those nationalists in. Whether that was because he was paid, whether that's because he wanted to get kind of one over on the producer who'd been embezzling money from the production, perhaps has lost the time. But nonetheless, he let them in, not knowing what they would do. He managed to get away with a knife, ran away from set for his life, sprinted from set, knowing that somewhere on that set was a lot of money that had been embezzled out of the production. 10 years later, Jack Danford is now an actor. Very early. He's been doing a lot of stunts, but he wants to move away from that life. And keeps telling everyone, I'm not a stuntman, I'm an actor. Don't think of me as a stuntman. And I was sat in the bar, and everyone was asking me what films I'd been in. And the only film that could go through Jack Danford's head was The Devil and the Dancer, over and over and over and over and over again, because he sat next to the person who was acting in that film, but just happened not to be on set the day everything went wrong. And I was sweating. I couldn't think of any films. I was sitting there like very nervous. And then I think people thought I was out of character and a very anxious guy. And everyone kept giving me films I'd been in. I was like, this is lovely.
So sweet.
Yeah, sure. I'll say I was in that film. Perfect. But also this is great because Elsie's character so Elsie was a player, but was playing a character from the last Oasis. So they came in as that character and they were like, I'm going to play this character. They're going to get killed on the Friday night and then I'll be my next character on Saturday. So they were playing.
Elsie was a player?
Elsie was a player. Yeah.
This is even more wild.
So I was like sat there next to them and I was like, and they were talking about, these films I'd been in. And it's kind of funny now because they didn't actually know they recognized me, but they were saying, I know your face. And I was like, face right by from this film. And I was like, yes, I was in that film. Yep. That's where you know me from. Absolutely. But just kind of rolling with that, and then just kind of sat there, kind of listening to everything that's going on, and waiting for my first murder to happen, which was like a poisoning I'd ordered. But it was like a mixture of like stressful, but also kind of funny because I knew everything that was going on. I think the only slip up that I really had was that Circuit was playing this, and I drove them down. On the way down, I mentioned the fact we were going to have a table reading, and they went, "Are we?" And I went, "Well, I assume so."
My God.
But yeah, it was kind of mildly stressful, but then at points it was able to just kind of like ride the game as it was going. But yeah, moderately stressful. How did everyone time in? Because I timed in, I kind of wandered in, just went to the bar and sat down.
Oh wait, before that, but how much of a character did you actually write?
None. Or was none of it.
Completely given to you?
I was told you're Jack Danford. Well, I came up with a name. We initially had a name that was very similar to Kitty's name, funnily enough. But then we were like, no, hang on, this sounds like too much like a plant.
Too much.
So yeah, I came up with a name, and everything else was written for me. I'd been given a loose idea like a couple of months before, like 2 or 3 months before. I knew before Empire E3 anyway, and came in with that. The character himself didn't have much to it. I kind of decided that he was quite like humble, if you know, because he's like very new to the scene. Yeah. I did slowly turn the humbleness off over the course of the weekend, but like kind of humble. Like every time I met an actor, I shook their hand.
Distinctly remember us both demanding set assistance on the first night. I'm not sure how humble that was.
Yeah,
that was the first night.
But also it was George was just too funny to send around not send around.
It was really amusing.
But yeah, no, and I was like, I'll play him as kind of like, because every time I met an actor, I was like vigorously shaking their hand, like, oh, it's so lovely to meet you. Stuff like this. It was very
just
funny.
So happy to be here.
Just so happy to be here. So many times I said I've never been to Europe. Never been to Europe. I kept saying it over and over and over again. I have never been to Europe. This is my first time here.
How did that compare to you, Matty? Because did you create your cast member entirely, or did you get like a name and you had to fill it in, or no?
No, mine was all from scratch. Everything from scratch. Yeah. I just, the only thing I knew is I didn't want to have to do the curls with my hair again. And I sort of just built from there. And then I was like, oh, it'd be nice to be a little bit more serious. It'd be kind of fun to like, I sort of swivel between serious and silly, but it was quite fun to be like, actually, I'm going to be dead professional. Because I'm not also, I knew I wasn't going to have time to like build a lot of backstory stuff with other people from like EYELARP to be like, oh, this is, we know each other from here or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, someone who's super professional and serious and doesn't really socialize, it's a great excuse to be like, yeah, we work together, but we don't really know each other. And then also be like, actually, we need to keep going in things when there's moments of like, oh my God, all these things, to just be like, no, we need to carry on. We really need to carry on.
Come on, film's not free.
Yeah, I'm here to do a job,
Oh my God.
I think I did scare people on Friday. I felt a bit bad though. Everyone came in so like lovely, and I was just there like really dour and like to the point. I was like, I'm so sorry.
You very much. I quite enjoyed. You were very much giving a "don't approach me."
Yeah,
it was so funny. You're like,
it was like, bless Ashley, who's playing Ellie, who they were playing like. Our two characters had been cast as like twins, sort of. It was slightly unclear. But they came up to me and like, oh yeah, how's it going? Like, I'm just really excited to be here, and I was, have loads of fun. I was like, fun? We don't have fun. This is work. They're like, well, you must like it. I was like, I'm good at it and it's satisfying. I don't have fun.
God.
And I could just feel them be like, oh, sorry. And I was kind of like, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not like this normally. I felt terrible.
I think it worked.
It worked.
It was really cool because like the main thing that we got told was the main motivation. So you each got like main motivations for your character class, right? So I can't remember. So you can tell me what the security one was because I can't remember. But
you can get to the security because I feel like we took it a very different direction.
Yeah, right.
I don't remember a main motivation, but
so for the film crew, it was the film must be made at any cost. Like that was pretty much it. I'm not sure if the cast one was pretty similar, but it was
the cast one was steal the show.
Yeah.
So it was like if there's an opportunity for you to be front and center, steal it.
I don't know how I missed that then. We didn't.
I missed
you
it on
didn't. You were very much that character.
I mean, oh, okay, thanks.
Security was pretty interesting because, like, I guess with all of the other characters, you're sort of thinking about, sort of how you're going to approach it, the film set and where your position in the role is, or the roles are. Whereas with security, it's quite open. Our whole goal is protect the investment.
Oh yeah.
But you can take it in so many different directions, and sort of what ended up happening. Fortunately, a bunch of the other security I know from a lot of other EYELARP games, and especially head of security, Mr. Howard Hagen, played by Eddie. It was great having him as a lead because he very much made game for the security team. So I had
did he
back and forth with him before the game because I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I'd like signed up for security off the cuff, and I was like, I'm going to want a gun, and apart from that, I have no idea.
Well, you played a different type this time, so you changed from research to security, so that was already a change.
Yeah, and then I was going, as I said earlier, I was going through my head. Last time I played super naive. This time I want to do the opposite and give myself enough like capability to go out and take some initiative. And I don't know how I got onto this idea, But I was like, wouldn't it be fun to play an undercover agent? And I went, let's do a quick bit of research. So prior to this game, I accidentally found loads and loads of small little bits on what it was like being an SIS agent in between the wars. So perfect time. Secret Intelligence Service, for anyone who doesn't understand SIS. And I was going, okay. I started reading some books. There's a book called like the British Agent, which is about a guy called Leslie something, can't remember his full name. Anyway, he's essentially the character I ended up basing my character on, who apparently during this time the whole entirety of the so special agents was so sort of lackadaisical. It was sort of, you'll do. Off you go find out something about fascism or communism for us and let us know. Off you go, have fun. So I started reading sort of all of his anecdotes and stuff, and I was going, this is enough. I can base this off. So I went for an ex-British Army of the Rhine officer turned travel writer who somehow managed to sneak himself onto set. Definitely, totally not an English special agent.
Amazing.
And that's what I put as my brief. And gladly, Kitty picked up on it for later on. So that was good fun.
Nice.
And so did all of the other security, to be fair. They all knew out of character that there was a spy, and a couple of them knew exactly who it was, but did not bat an eyelid the entire game. It was brilliant.
Nice.
So yeah, and then I turned up a time in. I decided I'm just going to rock up as if the buses have been late or whatever. People don't want to turn up to this island, this film set for some reason. Come in, dump my briefcase down, and then Eddie playing Howard Hagen hands me a passport with a picture of me, my whole details. I was like, thanks. That's going to be useful later.
That was really, really cool.
My God.
So yeah, security had a very different plan from the get-go. It's protect the investment. That doesn't mean the film. It means the money of the film.
Yeah.
I just want, in the kind of context of all of this, is that 10 years before this film was made, another film was made, and that film kind of fell apart because part of the team were embezzling money out and trying to get money out of the production. And it's very funny how history repeats itself without you having read the plot document.
It was really good. And also, like, side note as well, talking about Eddie and Theo and all of that, the work that those guys and a lot of the crew put.
Oh my God. Green room?
I will never like literally, because we're going to Eldritch Isle this weekend, and I'm like, I wish I could take any of it. Like, I would love to have. I know the team Feast Rise have got a fantastic plan for the set, but I'm very much just like, how am I going to be fancy British man without a chaise longue? Like, what is this?
So for anyone who hasn't been to the Eversley site, they've got like a little village set up, and it's called Wild West. It's lovely. It's loads of shacks and things. What had happened is they had built a green room set in between two rows of cabins with chaise longues, as you're saying, with carpets. Like the carpets, with oh my God, they hid a Bluetooth speaker within a radio playing like old like 30s music and
telephone. There was a typewriter.
There was a whole canopy over the top, railing
canopy.
Couple of clothes rails provided by me.
It was so good.
I brought the clothes rails.
I didn't realize that was your clothes rail.
That was my clothes rail.
Right, that explains a lot. No, it was awesome. There was a similar setup at Oasis 1 that Jack had done for it, which I think was part of the impetus of like, you can't have it without that. It's such a set.
Yeah.
I think
gosh. And we had a car this time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the car.
Oh my word.
I think a lot of the set was Jack's as well. I think because the lamp was Jack's. I think they showed along with like those guys. Honestly, ridiculous. The car was.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that car.
Character, but
I think that's
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was so cool.
On the first night, Frank Romano, Mafia Man, turns to Ed's character, goes, hey, how much for your car? And I heard them talking later, and Ed was like, yeah, my car's getting stolen.
Yeah.
It was like, the second I
It
heard that, I
did.
was like,
And it did,
Yeah,
but
and it
not by
did.
them.
Yeah. But you
Not
also,
by who they thought.
we also had so like they had built a fake camera film reel camera rig to put on top of a actual film camera. So to make an actual proper film crew camera with camera crew, those guys were incredible.
I heard, I've heard from
yeah.
I've heard from Martin, who was on crew, that was actually quite late into the decision making.
Yeah.
So that wasn't fully the full prep.
It's
and they wanted to do
really
it for
cool.
last time, I think, but
yeah, it wasn't possible. I think they're gonna be hopefully cutting together scenes for a trailer,
God.
so there will be something else coming out.
Yeah.
But going back to the green room for a sec, like I think obviously it's an amazing set piece. It looks great. It's a great place to sit down. It was a really nice place to gather. But in hindsight as well, it was a really, really cool place for like Eddie to set up for Hagen specifically, because it meant all of his dealings were like not hidden away in a they were public.
Yeah.
Right. So and you would go there and you see things happening, and it just became like its own little set. Which I just thought it was, I don't know if it was intentional, but it worked really well in that way.
It was really cool, especially because like as film crew, I didn't have that much interaction like within the green room, but then I get called into his office, which is the green room, to sign my contract. And I'm just there like, oh no, it was so good. There were so many little bits of attention to detail.
Well, even the contracts, like they printed out so many of these contracts, and if you've read through them, they're great. I really enjoy reading through them. But it's so bad.
It's so bad. Never,
no one should ever sign it.
Never take a deal with Howard Hagen at all.
I don't know. The security ones weren't too bad.
Oh, weird. Weird. Is he playing favorites? Shocking.
Whoa.
Truly.
But we also had Bung from my lovely co-host. He was playing the sound mixer. We also had Dave, formerly also co-host, who was playing the literally
Charlie Wednesday.
Oh my God, the greasiest, both literally and metaphorically, producer. Oh God, you have ever met.
Incredibly performed.
He was so good.
Incredibly performed.
He told me that my performance was the best thing he'd ever seen.
And then 5 minutes later, he told me that my performance was the best thing he'd ever seen.
And then walked past someone else being told the same thing.
Yep. It was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. I loved this LARP so much because it was, oh God, there's just so many little really cute moments.
Should we have a bit of a rundown about what kind of like the events that happened, I guess, over the course of, I guess, Friday night? Because there's a few, most of it was EYELARP social, but there's a few plot beats. I'd be curious to see what everyone else was kind of doing whilst we were there.
I was looking forward to a really quiet night because the last one was social and it was just a chill drinks. And honestly, I'm playing a security who isn't guns blazing. It is very much the British stiff upper lip. We'll just talk this through. We'll sort this one out. And also in my brief, I did make sure that I could speak Spanish and French just in case. That was part of the brief. I was just looking to sit down, meet some people. But my gosh, it went to shit immediately for the security. There were journalists on site. Spanish turned up, more journalists, and then a murder. Oh my God.
No, there was no murder. Don't be silly. She had an allergic reaction in this, recovering in her cabin.
Honestly,
oh my God.
The beats were fantastic because I'd seen the plot docs. I knew it was coming. So we all arrive, all do a bit of a social. Then we do the table read. So we're all sat around the table.
Oh my God, the table read. I completely forgot about that.
Princess the Dancing Bear appears at the table read, starts climbing around, sniffing everything, getting it, and everyone's like, get this. I think that's when I left. I was like, I am not sitting next to a goddamn bear. What is going on?
So fast. Yeah. It was a really interesting between the two people who were like the two camps who were like, we like the bear and we don't want to be near the
Turns out she was the most professional, member of talent. So you know.
Second most professional.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Jack was doing pretty well. But yeah, so we
the bear is still alive, Matty.
The bear did live.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
I have to say, that bear hit their cues every single time.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the bear was a very good actor. It was really good.
I felt for V so much during the weekend being in that bear costume.
During the table read, so I think at this point I decided to sign my contract on this night, but during the table read, Mathilde kicks off because Mathilde doesn't have any lines in the script yet.
Oh god.
Yes. Oh my god.
And she goes ballistic, furious, screaming at BB, storms away, marches away, taking with her her drinks cup. Then we do a bit of table read, bear appears, we leave. And then I think most of the rest of my night was playing blackjack, losing blackjack, drinking. I had a drink. I got George to go get me a drink, which was then delivered to me with a message from someone behind the bar, which was "Hello, handsome."
Ooh.
Yeah.
I looked up, but I saw a member of a stand-up Italian American family behind the bar, and I was like, oh, I see how
They have a legitimate business.
A very legitimate business.
Catering.
Super legitimate.
Yeah. We continue to play blackjack for a little bit, and then Mathilde gets a delivery. A wonderful bottle of champagne. I was like, very good. It's arrived. She opens a champagne, she drinks it to herself, and then she retires to her trailer. I send a rose to the wonderful person who sent me a message, and then we said, it's a very busy night, but we can speak tomorrow. Very interesting, very exciting night. Played a bit of blackjack. I think some commotion happened somewhere, though. I don't know. Some strange occurrence happened.
Well, I mean, what really happened,
one?
as you know, is that apparently the Spanish invaded Sir. I didn't notice. I think the bear was kind of
Friday.
No, literally, this is around the time of the table read. The Spanish invaded I know, this is the thing. They were there, but so was the bear. So the bear
there were about 5 locals and a priest all around you while you were taking part in the table.
Oh, no, I did see that. I thought you meant the fascists. Right.
Oh,
just
no,
the Spanish, just the locals.
You gotta get your people straight here. They're all we had a lot of moving parts.
So we had the religious locals
running in. Someone did come running in, and that was our script writer, played by our friend Lawrence.
Oh my god,
so running in bar at one point.
Langford.
Matilda is dead in her cabin. She's a body on the floor. There's a body on the floor. I was just like, no, she's not. Don't be ridiculous. How unprofessional of you. Like, go away. What are you doing? His little face fell so hard.
This was when I rolled up to Matilda's trailer, lit up a cigarette, and looked through the doors. And I saw someone doing chest compressions. Just to check.
Sorry, just before this, I had just spoken to the Spanish in Spanish and managed to get them to move off set.
Did you say something in Spanish?
I did. I used the well-known sort of, 3 fingers down, universal LARP language.
It's like the Shaka kind of hand gesture, but you put your thumb on your chin.
Yo, dude.
What is it?
It's that.
This means you're speaking whatever language.
I'm speaking a different language.
Oh my god.
Anyway, managed to get rid of them. Then I was having a conversation. I think it was with Mr. Wednesday, and we talk about the production. Then we heard a scream, and that scream was obviously Matilda. And both of us at the same time went, I think that came from the bar. And then someone else said, no, that definitely came from down there. And I went, and we both turned to each other and went, we both think that definitely came from the bar. So both of us then immediately walked in as everyone else was rushing off to the commotion. And at that point, just went up and had a drink, having a lovely drink while all of this was happening.
Amazing.
That's my approach to security. Thank you very much.
That's a good approach.
I stood and watched my first victim die as I took a nice, healthy inhale of my cigarette.
I hate you so much. I'm never going to trust you again.
Let me tell you, every single time security said to me, don't worry, this person isn't dead. Because this happened multiple times. Don't worry, this person isn't dead. They've just left set. And I went, okay.
We actually started using the term gone underground. That's what meant, they've just gone
literally underground.
I've got my order skewed because I think I asked for a flower to be sent to the bar after my message arrived. I sent George to get one. Pretty sure he took a
started
flower
it.
from. Pretty sure he took the flower away from the grave.
Oh God!
But yeah, no, I didn't start. I got the message. I sent the flower, but the flower that George got, I'm pretty sure was from her. From
That
Matilda.
is the most George thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very George.
But that was it.
Yeah.
That was my Friday night, more or less. What was P up to?
P sidled into town. Fresh beard, right on his face. And I spent most of my Friday night chilling with the Gorgon team, who were trying to give me some sort of brief. Because like I turned up to site and they were like, oh, like I said earlier, like you're going to be in charge of all the explosions tomorrow. So then my brain kind of
And
was
for
like,
the record, when you say explosions, you mean real explosions. Like there were actual explosions happening. It was really cool.
There was some really fucking good photos as well. It's really great. So I was getting the rundown from H. So H was giving me like an OC safety briefing. They were teaching me how all of the explosion kits were made, and I was paying attention to them whilst also mimicking H, movement for movement. And just watching Emma and Dave die from like fits of laughter as I was doing. But before the event, I made some really shit dynamite sticks out of sparklers and wrapped them in red paper.
It was so good.
It was
so good.
Bad.
They were amazing.
It was so funny though, because like I spent most of my Friday night chucking them into the bar. So like lighting them off my cigarettes, and then
honestly, Millie, by like Saturday morning, they were everywhere. They were like down the back of chairs. Everywhere I went to sit, there seemed to be one of your little dynamite pieces. It was really alarming. Just like they're literally everywhere.
Yep, that's what P does. He gets everywhere. And I was talking to. I went to the bar, got myself a couple of drinks. Was talking to Charlie Wednesday about my budget or lack thereof. And saying every time I literally walked past him, I was like, I need more money. And which was really funny. And then I think, did you guys do your costume fittings on the Fridays?
Now I did. And this is one of the things. So after the betrayal came out, I think I spent the next like 2 days messaging Morgan being like, wait, what about this thing? He'd be like, yeah, that too. Because I remember, for whatever reason, I remember you being like, oh, yeah, I haven't had my fitting yet. And I was like, because like a bunch of us had all gone. And I was like, oh, don't you go and do it. You're like, oh, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow morning. Which in hindsight, obviously, you were trying to avoid Ariadne, presumably. Yeah. But like, at the time, I was just like, oh, well, sure.
Oh my God.
Leave it. Noted, but completely ignored.
That you needed to come for your costume fitting. Oh my God.
There are Millie, there are so many
I'm just nodding very
like
smugly
this.
right now. Yeah.
I hate you so much.
There's so many moments like this that in hindsight.
It's because anytime anybody was trying to wrangle the cast, who all of you, by the way, did a phenomenal job of playing fucking cats that needed herding. Because there was so many, we'll get into it when we talk about Saturday, but there were so many points where Millie's AD brain tried to kick in and was like, you need to help this situation. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Hazel did a fantastic job as Hester.
Oh my God, Hazel was so good.
So good.
I do not wish that responsibility on anyone, but they did it so well.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah, but that was pretty much my Friday, was just like safety brief and then chilling and chatting with all the film crew.
I think
quite a lot.
Did you play any blackjack? The blackjack was really fun.
I did not.
God, I need Mass to play blackjack at Eldridge. I need it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
You just lost every time. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Terrible.
Quite a lot of things to happen, bearing in mind that we didn't time in until 9 or whatnot.
Yeah.
I always think that about because again, I always think Friday is like a nice chill social time, and it usually mostly is. But then there's also there's always stuff being seeded. So it was interesting. I was again. It's been very fun. It was very fun to be crew and know what the plot doc was and see stuff rolling in and people appearing and stuff happening and how things went. So yeah, it was very fun, very funny. And then I think we retired fairly sensibly because we all had work to do the next day.
Yeah, we had to be up in the morning.
Yeah. I also hadn't sunk in that I was going to have to learn my lines, and I'd had access to this script for like a week and a half, and then I was like, I probably should have read this, to be honest.
That was the Saturday job. I distinctly remember Friday night when everyone realised it was time out and we were at the green room, because I remember you being there, and I also remember Ellie being there, and that was where everyone suddenly dropped their accents, and I was like, what is happening? Like, everyone's got these really intense accents, and then suddenly all these different voices are around being like, hello, sorry.
Hey guys, are you all timed in around here? No, it's time out. Oh, brilliant. See you.
I was like, whoa, okay,
Pleasure to meet you.
It was nice. It was fun, but also I think it was a really good chance. After playing Eleanor for one evening, I was just there being like, I'm so sorry. Like, please, thank you for going along with this, because I'm trying not to be mean, but I think I'm being mean. Please don't think I'm mean.
Both timeouts were really stressful for me because I couldn't, I still had to pretend that I was one of the guys. Like, I was like, I can't break out. I kept wanting to talk about it. But yeah, then we wake up and we get ready to film on Saturday.
And we'll get some dreams.
Wait! I didn't get a dream.
Some of us had some dreams.
No.
I got two. It was kind of an accident.
Oh dear!
It was one big dream.
Some spooky dreams.
So my dream was that everything was going wrong, and I wish I believed in God or something, but I don't, and I got shot in the back of the head.
Oof.
That's all right.
Mine, I was I think I drank something, like something sweet, maybe whiskey-like, and then it went on to be you feeling pain through your face, and then you start clawing at it, and there's nothing there.
Jesus!
Oh my God, Sol. Wow.
And then you wake up. I was like, okay.
What were yours, Mattie?
I think the only thing I really vividly remember about mine was that I've realised I had a hole through my heart and I've been shot. Was one of them. But I can't remember what. I know. I was like, I rationalised everything. I was like, there's all this shouting about people maybe being dead last night. It's all just spooked.
We blamed it on the heat and the alcohol. Everything's fine.
Like,
how did you get told what your dreams were?
We were given little slips of paper.
Who came around with a hat?
Becca came around with.
I guess
nightmares.
It's probably
Well, you gave me the second one, so thanks.
I said earlier about the Spanish. They did have something to say, and it was quite relevant to the plot. So they actually told me that this entire thing was cursed. It happened again previously, and it's going to happen again. And basically, just plot.
You heard this on Friday night.
Friday night, within the first hour of the game, I knew it.
And you did nothing.
Well, because they're mad, and like we put it down to these are just some rabble. They want us out of here. This is their country. Fine, that's all they were on about. Maybe they just want this lovely set. So that's what we put it down to. The set builders built the set too good.
Mm-hmm.
You got a film to make, You got a film to make, and some locals are telling you weird shit's going on. It's weird. Yeah. Hey, look, the fact that the deaths, the dreams everyone's are happening, some of them were things I saw happen to my friends on set. Coincidence. Surely.
No. Yeah. Were they? No.
My God.
Where does it end, Morgan? Where does it end?
It doesn't.
How deep does this go?
The dreams were supposed to be because loads of deaths happened before the nationalists arrived, and because there was rumours that the set was cursed, and everyone was aware that someone died on set whilst I was working there.
Yeah,
obviously,
and we sort of not picked up on that yet, but we definitely picked up on because someone had a champagne death, and that was quite interesting.
Sol, did your team try to work out who ordered the champagne?
No.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, no. I don't think they tried to work out who ordered it. What they tried to make sure is no one was drinking weird drinks going forward. Like
we did have a sit down at one point where all the actors were told, "Don't."
Mattie, I don't know if you picked up on this. I didn't care. I just picked up anything.
I had some of your whiskey like an hour later.
I was literally just like, I'll drink whatever. I don't know. I know where the poison came from. I'm not stressed.
But yeah,
I do.
I'm getting the filthiest looks this evening, folks.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, every time I was sending you angry emojis over the last it's been like 3 weeks since this game. It doesn't feel like it. Like 2 weeks. This is the face.
But yeah, that was cool though, because we got those dreams. We all remember we had those dreams during filming, right? But
it was weirdly.
When did the first whilst we were filming and Matt's character nearly got killed by a box? There was a bit where twice, these explosions nearly literally blew up.
Hey now.
It was incredible. The first time it went shooting into the air and it kind of perfectly zoned straight up and straight towards me, and someone battered it out of the air, and I was like, that was weirdly ominous, but clearly not deliberate. It's obviously not been planned. The second time we did it, we were further around to the side, and it did the exact same thing, came straight towards me again. I was like, okay.
Those booths are so good, but we'll get to those in a little bit.
I was gonna say, whilst we were filming the first scene and we were watching a soap opera play out, because there was 4 people, the 4 cast members that were filming were in some kind of strange love quadrangle in which one of them they'd all been in relationships and cheated and divorced. It was very intense. One had a little strop and kicked to the wall. Incredibly hilarious. Loved it all.
The kicking the wall wasn't until way later. This is the thing. That scene was so long that it feels like
it hurt me. It hurt me greatly.
There was a bit. Was there a bit during that? Because I'm pretty sure. Was there shooting going on in security during that point, gunfire?
So there was a couple of things, wasn't there?
I remember the football invasion, the press invasion, and then we did a scene change, and I don't really remember much after that. And the delivery.
Quickly going on the security point of view, we had a quick meeting, okay, and this meeting is important because it made clear to the rest of security that they are all the ones that are going just guns blazing, because on one side we have the not mafia, and on the other side we actually have the not mafia. There are two sides, right? But most of them are going in guns blazing. I'm sitting here in the middle trying to calm everyone down. That's just the approach here. So we finally managed to get a meeting where we're like, right, maybe we shouldn't shoot first. That might be a good approach to things, because currently all our problems have been is locals and journalists. We can do this without any commotion, any death. We just need to talk to them. But what happens if it does all go wrong? We need some code names and so we came up with this whole security code, which one I mentioned earlier was take them underground. That was the last of them. We had take them for a walk, which is just take them for a walk, go see the stars. And we also had recess, which was just in case we were out on set and anything went to shit and we had to get all the actors. Turns out we didn't care about them, so we never called that ever.
No, there was a recess. They used They used it in the afternoon.
Well,
they were
I wonder why I don't know about that. There you go.
Yeah, okay,
That's
you went there.
Well,
there was
really
a recess. And I was really weirdly suspicious because it was not, I think it wasn't that long after they'd said nobody eat or drink anything that you
Well, I'm so glad I brought it up.
I was
because I wanted to know if that ever happened, because we came up with the
So when you talk about the recess, do you mean the British people coming in with tea?
Probably.
No,
those were our union designated tea breaks.
That was the union. That was in the plot doc. That was a union.
It was just convenient. Anyway.
Well,
recess.
For anybody who wasn't
going to be poisoned.
Anybody who wasn't at Oasis, what happens on a regular day on a film set is you start your day, you get your cool sheet, which we talked about earlier, to bring it way back to the start. And I think, was it on day one we were filming 3 scenes?
Yeah.
And I love this little detail a lot, with the fact that the script, normally we don't film scripts in scene order unless it's specially requested by directors. I love the fact that we were starting the day with. Firstly, it was Princess the Dancing Bear, who was the number one cast member, the most important cast member on this entire shoot, so that we could shoot her out and she could go home. It was so good. And just so that if anyone doesn't get lost, so we had this big first scene to begin with, which was like dialogue and big booms and everything. It was amazing.
It's incredible because we'd all been taken over to Viking, right? Because that was the main set for this one. And the entirety of the player base was there. And crew, like as in the actual crew, the second unit or whatever. Everyone was there. It was a huge like semicircle all around. It was awesome. Yep. The vibes were on point.
It was really good because obviously as SFX and the art department, we had to go there first to rig the explosions, which was really cool actually because I got to go out with the actual Gorgon team and build all of the packing things, which was in really nice detail because I'd never done that before. I'd never really watched it. If anybody wants any spoilers, what you do is you dig a big hole in the ground. You put a metal, I think it's a hopper type thing, which is basically a cone in the ground to make sure that the explosion doesn't go out and down. We want it to go out and up so that everything goes up in the air. You then pack it full of dirt, put a little bit of put the explosion in, put a bit of cardboard on top of that, and then put more dirt in the top to make sure that the cardboard's called the lifting plate. And if I get any of this wrong, Jay, I'm very sorry. I know you listen. Please feel free to tell me that I'm wrong. And then when the explosion goes off, the lifting plate goes off and all of the explosion goes up. And it's really fucking cool. And so it was really interesting for me because obviously I was sat on my ass with the rest of the Gorgon crew waiting for all the crew to turn up. And I felt like a proper film crew, like hurry up and wait moment. It was really cool.
It was so much hurry up and wait. Really.
It was so much hurry up and wait.
It was quite fun going and watching it because I wasn't in the first scene. I don't think you were either, right, Morgan? No, right. So there were quite a few of us that weren't in this scene. And at Oasis 1, I had not been in the first scene too, but I'd been a bit late going down, so I actually missed some of the things going on. So this time I was like, I'm going to go and watch all of them. And it was really fun just watching it and like gossiping about what was going on and like judging everything.
I feel like Eleanor and Jack like truly bonded about bitching about the poor performance in that morning.
So much.
Just literally being like, I thought these. It's like, oh yeah, and then it had to stain for continuity, and then being like, I thought these people were professionals. I hope they've got insurance because they got killed by a box. Just bitching the whole time.
That was not very nice. It was not. It was fun. It was so. It was really like it was characterful. I think it's one of those, like experiences where you're like in character even though you're not really doing anything, which was really nice to sort of start the day that way.
And I really enjoyed the kind of like it's rare I think in a LARP where like having the opportunity to do nothing but doing it well. We're in character watching stuff happening. I very much felt like it was like my character was definitely bored. I was not. And it was quite fun just sat there talking about the production and watching stuff happen.
Yeah.
I was so impressed by all of the film crew this time. The film crew playing the dogs' bodies and whatnot were just, and the runners, they made it so immersive.
George the runner. I felt so sorry for that poor lad.
Couldn't run in the end, could he?
Oh no.
It was so sad.
I really liked it because there were a lot of elements in that scene that we had to get right. Like we had to do. There was the whole premise of the scene was they were rescuing one cast member from people that had kidnapped them. Then they were under fire. There were explosions. They threw a stick of dynamite. There's another explosion. There was more people that had been captured. I didn't read the script because I was far too important as an art director, so I had no fucking clue.
It was good fun.
It was so nonsensical, but so beautiful.
It was fantastic. I loved it.
But one of my favorite things was main actress who couldn't. She was like, I can't throw this stick of dynamite. I'm too weak. And so we had to get George the runner to go and hide behind this barricade.
Oh my
Is that
god!
why there's that picture of him like just poking his head?
So that's what I was just so confused as to why he was throwing the dynamite.
He was there, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so it's because
funny.
it was so good. And watching Hazel go up and be like, well, you will need to throw it at some point when it's your shot, darling. And she was just like, well, I'm not doing it now. I don't have the energy to do this over and over again.
That's so good.
It was so good.
Amazing.
And I think the person who was playing her husband was forgetting their lines. Yeah, right. They were forgetting their lines all the time, which is why they were getting frustrated and kicking the walls.
It wasn't just that. It wasn't just that. So right, get ready.
Insider knowledge here.
Wayne Martin, Alicia, Dee and Roger. So
I'm so glad somebody knows.
So Wayne and Dee Dee were married.
Mm-hmm.
But because Wayne had an affair with Alicia, Wayne and Dee Dee
who was playing the daughter in the scene.
Oh God.
Wayne and Dee Dee got divorced. And then they were divorced at the time of filming. Then Dee Dee and Roger were flirting, I think.
And
on the film set,
as
which
well.
resulted in like a fist fight at some point.
God.
And then during filming, oh God, I think the reason Wayne got angry was because people were flirting with Dee Dee, I think, and he just got furious.
He was also really drunk. Like
he was also hammered. Yeah,
he was
so
completely wasted.
Oh my God.
He was like sucking on a like cigar and like had like a wine bottle in his other hand and was just like going back and forwards. And I'm sorry, but the best fucking bear in all of West fucking Texas is a line that was
so good
forever.
Which
oh
is
my
like,
God, it was amazing.
It was also like like a moment we watch that and we go like, that's wasted film. Can't say that.
Yeah. It was hysterical. That was also when we noticed that the bear was a good film, and I just like elbow him, like, look at the bear. The bear is amazing.
So
we like the bear now.
Things, security had lots of other things going on, but me and Benny also took charge of bear patrol because we did not trust. There's a bear on set. We were so impressed that there were so many. Not impressed. That's the wrong word. Why are so many people okay with a bear being on set? Like, it was ridiculous.
So I agree.
So
because they were wearing a cute little bow.
Benny, played by Digby, had his rifle out, but he hadn't had it loaded properly. So I had to be his Foley, just in case we did have to take the bear down. So there's a great picture of me standing behind him with like a gun in the air. That's not. I'm not firing at the bear. That's Digby firing. It's Benny firing. But I think, as he put it, it did become a little bit of Schrodinger's bear because we weren't sure whether the bear was going to attack or not, and in the end didn't.
Yeah,
it was still good fun.
I think we should have fed loads of cocaine to that bear and seen what happened.
That would be a great film.
I think that would make a great movie. Yeah, right. Just roll the cameras, see what happens.
God, the film industry is ridiculous.
So
bad.
There were two things though in that morning that stood out. One was for me the first like plot moment that I suppose I noticed was the incorrect delivery, but because that's relevant to I think you and security. Just before you talk about that, Sol, it was when the press invaded, and I was standing with Jack with Morgan, and you covered your face with the script. Yep. Even though they were miles away. And I remember being like, that's a bit overkill. But like, you know, who am I to judge? You know, I'm sure it's fine. And then, of course, completely fine. Just didn't even think about it ever again.
Just an actor doesn't want to be in the paper.
Just didn't want your picture taken from like across the field, you know, just in case. But the delivery, I think, happened at pretty much the same time. Those two things dropped.
Happened a little bit later. I remember Charlie beat up a photographer, which was very funny.
Oh my god, yeah.
Best producer, well than Charlie Wednesday. And then the wrong delivery happened, which was very funny.
In terms of context, the delivery was trunks of suitcases of costume items.
But it was the wrong costume.
Yeah.
And it was a bunch of
costume that was meant for the Devil and the Dancer.
Red coats. Right? It was red coats. Yeah.
But
it wasn't. No, it wasn't for Devil and the Dancer because that was 10 years ago.
Wrong.
It was just wrong. It was for a Civil War flick.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Got sent, yeah. No, not Civil War. War for Independence War. It was all the red coats and stuff.
Schlarp.
Schlarp.
They were filming a schlarp.
So we had to deal with a number of incidents on set. Security were just dotted about, just trying to deal with things. I was having conversations with like 3 journalists. Like my other sort of undercover brief is that I'm a travel writer in with the Morning Post. So rather than going anywhere else, I was just like, right, I write for the Morning Post. I can have a word, that kind of thing. De-escalate it that way. And until one of them punched one of them, and then I believe they resolved that by having a fist fight in the Western.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about it.
There was
him running back in with like a black eye. It was Mr. Hagen paid me to fight someone.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, what? What are you talking about?
There was someone punched a journalist and they didn't like it and they were causing a fuss, so they were like, right, so we just do a proper brawl and pay for it. So that's what happened. No idea. I wasn't there. I was too busy doing other things.
Unbelievable. What other things were you doing? Oh, you were just barefooting.
Well, I was doing that, and then after that, there was a lot of things going around, little rumors about a Mr. Knight going missing on set.
No, he's just scouting the new location. Actually, no, he's left set. He's quit the movie.
But to security, they go, Mr. Knight has gone. We need to find him. And we were like, well, where could he have gone? Well, he likes to go for a jog in the morning. And we were like, okay, well, let's go have a look. He's definitely not our head. I'm pretty sure I walked past you and went, have you seen Mr. Knight anywhere? And you were like, no. And you were just walking through Western at that point.
I realise we've kind of forgotten something here.
Have we?
What we've forgotten is we did a fight scene choreography in the morning.
Oh my god, yeah, your stunt rehearsal alongside all of your costume fittings.
One of the best pictures of me I've ever seen is me about to punch someone with a knife in my hand, cigarette in mouth, in 1930s attire. Incredible photograph. Doing this now, before this, Mr. Knight comes up to me and he says, Mr. Danford, it's the best way to stab someone.
He's French.
Yeah, I'm not doing a French accent.
Right, Danford. Was Mr. Knight the stunt coordinator, so the guy who was leading the rehearsal, right?
He says, Mr. Danford, what's the best way to stab someone? And I kind of look him square in the eyes and like, in the back.
Oh!
And he says, that works, but you could also slit their throat. I'm like, I'll take that into consideration.
Challenge accepted.
We coordinate a stunt fight. Very fun. That's all very cool. Then Mr. Knight goes scouting or whatever, and I go somewhere else, I guess.
Mm.
So yes. Anyway, sorry, Sol. Please continue.
Mr. Knight is missing. I've got another piece of information about Mr. Knight from Oasis 1, which is really entertaining, but we'll get to that. Mr. Knight's gone missing. Search around Western. You had no idea, Jack Danford, where Mr. Knight would be, so it's fine. We'll go have a look. You might have gone for a jog. Off we go. We walk all the way down, and this is the only time that I leave set. The entire thing. That's one note with this Oasis is we didn't leave Western or Viking for the
it was good.
The entire thing.
It was we did.
Apart from this one thing, which is we went down to the fort and we found Mr. Knight just lying down, clutching his like shoulder / neck, blood pouring out, completely lifeless, and we went, shit. Just quickly protect the area, check, see who might have done it, and on him we found this strange dagger, and someone picked it up and got to read a little bit of paper, but obviously I see that's not what happened. They started to feel quite interesting while they held it. And we're like, oh. And then someone went, isn't that from the prop department? We went, oh, it might be. Who the hell put sharps in the props? Right, we'll check that when we get back. What are we going to do with him? It's better bury him. So we deal with Mr. Knight. Go bury him. Clean the blood off. Like, we have to clean the blood off whoever was holding it, the knife as well. It was a whole situation. We protect. Clearly, nothing else is happening.
Bearing in mind, this is the second body that you've had to deal with.
Yeah. We have no idea who did this. But then, I think it was Mr. Dillinger starts passing around the knife, going, "Yeah, do you want to have a feel?" And I got to read it. I got to hold it. And I think it was after Benny who had gone, "Oh, that feels really nice." Yeah. And I got to read it, and it says, "This knife feels really nice to hold in your hands. You want to plunge it into anyone who gets on your nerves."
Oh.
I was like,
okay.
And we also noticed it's I'm like, that's interesting. It affected everyone else. But a note about my character is I picked it up, and it felt nice, but I had no one. There was no one on my list of who I would hurt. Didn't affect me.
You're just so bland. Yeah.
You have missed something that Mr. Knight had in his hands.
What else did Mr. Knight have in their hands?
Mr. Knight was holding a ransom note.
Yes.
That said, "I know who you are." And it was written on the back of a 1923 call sheet for The Devil and the Dancer, which had the name of everybody on it. The last name was ripped off.
I don't think I got to see that as my character, but someone clearly had it.
Oh, there is a great picture of the ransom note. In the set of pictures.
I mean, I got to see it a lot later.
You can actually read it.
I just didn't know it was found there. So that's
all weekend, I had the bottom of that call sheet in my pocket.
Nice.
You hurt me. You hurt me so much.
We took that knife.
I'm over it. Personally, I'm over it.
Mr. Knight was a very good teacher. Mr. Knight was a very good teacher. I was able to use some of his lessons.
Wow.
So we were actually doing some theorizing. So we knew that Misericordia meant, what does it mean? Mercy, right? It's a mercy dagger. And we were looking at the prop going, oh, it's one of those ones that you like stab between the plates on a like a chess piece. So that's the only place you can really stab someone if they're in full plate. It's like across their like shoulder blade. Bit of interesting information that we started theorizing, and then we got back to the prop department and we're like, well, we can't store this here. And we started opening up, let's check if there's any other sharps. And at that point we found the old prop list for The Devil and the Dancer.
Oh, for scene
that
30.
Point, the security found the entire prop list, and at which point we went, this is ominous.
Oh my god.
So from that point on,
there I was standing worrying about boxes. All of this is going on in the back.
At that point,
I had no idea.
Some of the security were all looking for the wine bottle, the mirror, the painting. All of these things we were now trying to tick off the list because we were like, this is weird. So we start walking around with a knife, having a conversation. The filming's getting towards the end. I'm sure there's some other bits that you can cover. But so Hagen turns to me and goes, Freddie, go hide that somewhere. We can't have anyone on set finding that. So I go, okay, cool. So I walk off with it. And I walk towards the green room. And like, I could go and hide this anywhere. Like, it's a LARP prop. I could put it in my tent. No one would find it. But that's boring. I walk into the green room where I see Moira, Mr. Hagen's secretary, tapping away. And I go, hi, Moira. How are things? Mr. Hagen needs me to do a job. Could you help me? We need to hide this dagger. It's just sharp. And we don't need that anywhere near the props department. I trust Moira. I had a nice chat with them the night before. Just a very honest secretary, not going to do anything wrong. At which point I go, do you know where we can hide this? And she's like, I suppose we could put it under the typewriter. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So we start taking we're about to take the typewriter off. She goes, can I have a look at it? I go, yeah, sure. And I pass it to her, at which point she reads it and goes, and then just starts walking off with the knife towards the set. And at that point, I have to sprint after her, like body in the way. Go, no, Moira, no. This is going to be hidden. Right. So we then placed it in the little compartment underneath the typewriter. Put the typewriter back on, and then we left it there. Sol, knowing very well that Moira knows exactly where.
Was it there the whole time for the rest of Saturday then?
Well, apparently when she went to get it later, it had already gone because someone else had found out earlier on in the day. But I wasn't there for some unknown reason. But yeah, so that's how early we had both the call sheet and the props list, and had started to sort of collate some things.
See, I had no idea that any of this stuff was going on because I was sat on set waiting for the cast to get through the scene long enough for me to cue this fucking explosion. And it was like one of the things where, because we had 3 booms, right? So we had a small one, a medium one, and a big one. And the big one, H and everybody was giggling about because obviously it's like, oh, it's a big one. It's really funny. And we'd been going for about 3, I want to say 2.5 hours. And we were starting to get a little bit like twitchy over the button that cued the explosion. And so much so that like there was a rehearsal that we did where George, as we said ages ago, who was throwing the dynamite, throws the dynamite hits the box, and then suddenly this
Boom.
whole explosion just goes up. And the reaction of everybody around there was so funny because it was like Dave, producer, so Charlie Wednesday comes in and is like, I don't have the money to buy another one. Who the fuck kills this? I was yelling at Jay's character, who I'd given the name of Dick. So because I called him my dick the entire weekend. It was great. I was like, Dick, who gave you permission to push the button? It was really funny. But yeah, that was
first attempted box death then. That was really early. But also I remember it being so not alarming, but kind of exciting because, you know, we were like, oh yeah, the box is going to explode. You don't really know how much it's going to be or when. And then it really exploded and it was like, whoa, we're really on this now.
It was really funny. I think it's because like there was a mood shift, like because obviously like the cast and everything were having their game and like everybody was recording and we were doing all this stuff, but there was like quite a lot of crew in the background that were just like standing around and chatting and not doing very much. So it was quite nice to just remind people that there was still an element of live explosives around them. It was quite fun. But it was weird not being able to leave set. Like, could you wander around, Mattie? Like when you were on set?
I mean, I had all the freedoms that I could have wanted, really.
Yeah.
Like I got people. We had chairs and stuff. It's amazing.
I was able to go over to the fort.
So you have a nice walk.
I was going to say, did you actually? Because like obviously, if you were crew, did you actually go over and actually act out the Moida or no?
No, I just walked into the crew area and waited for him.
Fair.
I was there whilst he got kitted up because like there was like little to no point. Anyway. But yeah,
other murders were
the most of the murders were done like because I set them off in places that weren't phys repped on stage, so it's kind of like I went to crew and sorted them out. It was very funny seeing Sol being like, "Have you seen Mr. Light?" I'm like, "No."
But you were like that all weekend. Like I don't know. It was just a number of times where we'd walk through the green room and you'd just be walking past. I'd go, "Have you seen?" No, you just so dismissive.
You got good instincts, clearly.
Yeah.
Was
I am playing an SIS agent. Like it was kind of my job.
There you go.
Yeah.
I reckon, Sol, that you and I had blinkers on somewhat because of the Oasis one, which I think worked and was sort of partially the point. To have someone who wasn't from the Oasis one NPC crew doing the role, because it would have been much easier to figure out.
Oh, Mr. Knight is William the Conqueror.
Yeah. So, okay,
God.
very, very brief dip into Oasis 1. All of the NPCs from Oasis 1 were immortals from throughout time. So, like, Ariadne was, like, Greek Ariadne, like, from the Mykonos era, from, like,
That's sick.
2000.
That's really
And
cool.
William Knight.
Cool.
So Mark Valentine was Marcus Valentine. He was a Roman soldier. There was a whole thing. Yeah, William Knight was actually William the Conqueror.
That's so cool.
I can't remember what Matilda was. I can't remember what era she was from, but there you go.
It was crazy.
So yeah, him being the stuntman was really funny because I was like, also when we first met them, there was that little question of like, are they doing a similar?
He was the stuntman last time as well. Like that's why it's all hilarious.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, it was Anyway, it was beautiful. It was a great time seeing them again and just having that little like. I know, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But we finished the first scene of the day and then broke for lunch and went and had lunch. Was there anything that happened with you guys before then that we haven't spoken about already?
Before then,
because I remember actually this just came into my head thinking about all of the fun things that happened later. There was a costume fitting that happened and the power went out. Was that on the Friday?
Yeah.
I think it was on the Friday.
That was on Saturday.
Was it on the Saturday? Okay, cool. If it happened later, then that's fine.
Slightly later.
Yeah, there's a couple of things happened before then, because we did our filming before that happened as well.
Yeah, there was lots of more filming after lunch.
I think that was when I was
filmed
back
after
in the
lunch. We didn't film until after lunch.
Hmm.
So we filmed at 2:00, or it was supposed to be 2:00, whatever it was. But that was after someone disappeared. It was weird.
Why did they disappear?
I've got written here the Grand Quiche attack.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh god, yeah. Oh bloody hell.
Yeah, and it was.
This wasn't in the plot deck.
This was not in the plot doc. So we've all come to Oasis. It's a nightmare event. We're going to try and survive as long as possible. On the cards, I didn't have a quiche was going to take me out for the weekend. So
it was so sad.
We were having quiche for lunch. We had
OC. This is all OC at this point. This is not even remotely in character.
And I held up the quiche and I was cutting it. And I went, "This is a stupid idea, but also this is like a cutlery knife. Like what could go wrong if it goes wrong? Turns out, readers, listeners, things can go very wrong. So I managed to put. And if you're squeamish, don't listen to this bit because if you want to actually, it was pretty rough. I managed to put the knife through the quiche, through the bottom of the quiche tray, into my finger to the bone. In one swift movement. At which point, I went, "Ow! I have just cut my finger, probably to the bone. I need to go now."
It was horrible.
Oh god, it was wild. I was just standing there, and then Sol just goes, "Ow!" and drops the quiche, and then goes like, "I've just cut my finger, probably to the bone." And I just looked down, and all I could see from like literally Sol's clutching at this finger, and there was like blood bubbling out, like it dripping out already. No. And I was like, "Oh, you really meant that? Oh my god, you really meant that? Like that's bad." I was like,
quick, get some tissue. Medic!
Yeah.
Go find Johnny.
Did any of the blood drip onto the quiche? This is
the best bit. Is the knife had gone all the way through the bottom, and I think quote Pete, who was there, you were like, "Well, can we even have the quiche?" Pete just takes the knife with the bloody end and pulls it all the way through.
We pulled it all the way through, yeah.
So
we did save the quiche.
We saved the quiche, and after I'd been bandaged up and whatnot, need to go to A&E. They were like, maybe you should get some food or sugar into you just before you go. It's going to be some weight. I got to eat a quarter of the quiche.
Oh my god, that had done it.
I delivered some quiche. I very carefully cut it on the table.
So I then went to A&E with Lawrence, both of us dressed in 1930s gear, trying to explain to A&E receptionists that I had cut my finger cutting a quiche, and they were loving it. And now I have on my medical record an accident due to theatrical historical reenactment.
Amazing.
There you go.
I was
incredible.
That's where I was for the entire afternoon.
brief tangent whilst you talk about theatrical reenactment. How do you guys explain to normies what LARP is?
No.
I just tell them at this point. I've got to the point.
Yeah, I often will say, do you know what reenactment is? Yes, all right. It's like reenactment, but no one's watching, and it's not just historical stuff. And then they always go, what do you mean? I'm like, I feel like that's succinct enough. Like, come on. I go pretend to be a knight or a pirate or a cowboy or whatever for a bit, and it's the most intense emotional experience I've ever had outside of genuine real life trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I like comparing it to like MMORPGs rather than Dungeons. Everyone always goes, "Is it like Dungeons and Dragons?" I'm like, no, because everyone knows I do Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, not exactly, because it's not really guided by something. It's more like playing World of Warcraft, where you can go and find quests, or you could walk in a circle for 3 hours if you really wanted to. Like, there's no real requirement to do anything, but you can go and do stuff and have a wonderful time and story.
Mean, let's face it, it's just adults playing like kids in a playground. Like,
I always call it like immersive theatre, or if I can't be bothered, improv, or if I can't be bothered to explain it to people, I just say I go camping almost every weekend, and then we leave it at that.
I have described it as acting before.
Yeah,
I have acting without a script. I normally just end up showing people pictures. And they go, "Wow."
I did not tell them.
Now my friends are like, "That's really cool."
This was LARP because I didn't want to do anything. We said it was a wedding. And they looked at us funny because it was obviously a really tacky wedding. But you know, they had a great chuckle from it. I did tell the nurses because I feel like they would get it, and they did. So
that's fair.
That was my boring afternoon, though. I was doing word puzzles and wanting to get back to Oasis.
Yeah, no, that
honestly, however, it's worth saying this is still it's definitely one of the best, if not the best LARP I've done, and yet I spent 4 hours of it in A&E. So if that's not a testament to it, so please tell me what I missed, because I still don't fully know. I've seen pictures now, and I don't remember that. I'm like, oh yeah, I was in A&E. So what happened?
Oh God, I remember collapsing on the chaise longue with like a hot cup of hot water and sugar for a bit and being like, I think I'm okay.
Oh,
this is fine. As everyone's finishing their lunch. I think you basically just missed everything between that and dinner.
Yeah, I did. I was back for dinner, pretty much.
Was quite a lot.
It was a lot.
Because we learnt the lines for our scene. I remember sitting with, it would have been Jack, probably Ellie, not Clark, maybe Lydia, and like going through the lines until we learned them. And there were some rather funny ones. Poor Jack Danford had some terrible lines.
She was the first person to pull off a triple pig and a poke while simultaneously doing a double fucking Spanish prisoner.
Oh my God.
Ridiculous. It was the most ridiculous line. The authenticity person had no idea what they were saying. Very funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That was actually really close. Well done.
Thank you.
What was it actually supposed to be?
Oh, a far cry from the woman who pulled off the first triple pig and a poke while simultaneously catching 2 separate marks with the Spanish prisoner.
Ridiculous.
Oh,
it's such a long sentence. We were just like, what does it mean? We don't know what any of this means. It was really funny. Learning lines was fun. I have done a lot of acting. I love acting. I love learning lines. So like when you were saying earlier, that's like your worst nightmare, Millie. It's like probably my dream. I love
it's like lines. I used to do it. It's more the fact that as I've got older, my ADHD has got worse, and therefore my attention span has just vanished.
This is where I kick in. You see, the quick learning lines. I loved it. It was so much fun. It was fun to like do something as well. Like be like, okay, now you've got the costume stuff. Now you've got to do the setup. Now you've got to block. Now you've got to do these. Now you've got to do that.
Yeah.
You practice the lines. You try and like get your head around it. We were all doing silly accents.
It's worth saying as well, the director, like, did you get many like director rehearsals going on when you guys were doing your scenes?
No.
It was straight to filming.
Just straight to filming. Okay.
We had the advantage of the fact we had the script all morning.
Yeah. Because the guy
on the cinematographers.
Yeah, because the person who was playing the director, oh my god, they did it incredibly. Like he was like they were doing the like mental breakdowns. The my god, why are my cast just not learning their lines?
I remember the table read being very chaotic because it was just kept being like, stop. So now think about this. And it was like,
so good.
Okay.
It was so good.
So Ellie Mae's
I think that Clark Daytona's role was sorry, Matt, sorry, go on.
No. I think it's just everyone was brilliant. You mentioned who you think was brilliant.
I was saying Clark Daytona just like Max's performance of just a guy who was just like, he had his lines written for him on a big whiteboard behind the camera, because he's like, when you've got one of these babies, you don't need to learn your lines, holding an Oscar. And every now and again, we just go line, and there's like, these lines are too long, make them simpler for me. It was just excellent. It was so funny.
I'm glad we got to see the full Clark Daytona. It was good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a shame that we were missing the script writer, because that would have, I think, been the moment for it. But also, it worked. It worked really, really well. I love that the script kept being changed. Like, you could keep losing your hooey. And Elsie playing
microphone.
Yeah, Elsie playing Ellie Mae Cody of Kodiak's whatever it was. It was so fast. It was amazing. Being like, yeah, that's not a great accent. Like, let's be a bit better. Like, being our sort of accent coach on set. Never once said like really more than a word to Eleanor, apart from when like talking in a group. But Eleanor was always just kind of like, okay. She's like praising other people, and right at the end, she was like, "I never had to say anything to you. You were doing fun." And I was like, "Yeah, I was."
So Ellie Mae was the authenticity consultant, right? So making sure that everybody had the right accents and all of this stuff.
So good.
It was so good.
Great with the accents, actually. Like, for your character, but also for the cast pretending to be in character. Yeah, it was really good. It was super fun.
Nice.
I thought someone was going to pull a really terrible accent, but actually no one really did.
So I think what we'll do, we'll get to the end of the second scene on the Saturday, because we are an hour and a half into our day recording, and then we'll have a little break and then carry on. But like, because obviously there was no big boom requirements for this second scene, so I was having a merciless time just going around the unit base and flirting with anyone and everyone that I could at all. I walked into the costume room. Oh my god, it was so funny. I walked into the costume room where Ariadne and Ethel were, and I literally just sat on the bench and I was like, I'm ready for you to measure me. And I was like, oh god. I was like, this is horrible. I am channeling all of the horrible people that I've ever interacted with. And I then dipped and I was like, I'm so sorry. I am walking away and I will never come back into this room again.
It's even shame.
It was so bad.
You were so flirty. It was really funny. I really liked you asking me to light the candles in your hat, and then it immediately setting your hat.
Oh my god, my hat! Let's not talk about my hat. That is the most fun I've ever had making a costume. Because
just like dripping down your face.
Because like for anyone who knows H, he always goes around with this hat that is the most worn and torn hat, and is always a head torch on it. So I was like, how do I make a head torch 1930s? Oh, I know, candles. Not even thinking, oh wait, candles equal fire equal death equal boom. And I was like, oh no, don't worry, nobody will ever light these candles because they don't want to set me on fire. Everyone spent the entire weekend trying to light the candles. It was fucking awful. But did anything of note happen in your second scene while you guys were doing all of your lines and stuff?
I think we've got a very good thing to end on.
Oh yeah.
So we had. It wasn't long after the scene that the big thing happened, was it? Pretty soon after filming.
But during filming was the first thing that I really remember, because that was when we had gunshots for the first time. That was while we were filming.
That's true. Do you want to end on that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if anything else happened. I remember doing the most amazing pickpocketing I've ever done.
Yeah, I remember
That's all I remember.
The filming the
You gotta
scenes.
face it.
The filming scenes were very funny. There's some actual filmed footage of them.
So
we had some
good.
excellent monologues from Archibald Penhaligon II. We had some great.
You did Shakespeare, don't you know?
Yeah. Oh, also before this point, Gianna Romano had rejected Jack Danford because Clark Daytona was richer.
Oh, so that's the person that wrote you the note with the hey
flirting with
handsome.
me, and I was like, well, turns out she sent a similar note to Clark Daytona. So, and Clark Daytona was richer. So them's the bros.
Oh, I bet I know what you're going to be talking about. It's not the gunshots, is it?
No.
Yeah. Okay, so start with the gunshots then. In that case, we were in the bar in Wild West. And we're like getting ready to film. And then suddenly there's like all these little poppy gunshot sounds down from about what we found out was the fort. And we're like, okay, that doesn't sound safe. But, everyone runs off to go and see what's going on. We're like, okay, it's fine. We'll just wait for a while. There's also an airplane going overhead, so we had to pause for a second. And then at some point, the gunshots just kept going. And Eddie, as Hagen, ran back in and like comes past the bar and was like, everybody grab a gun. Like, if you don't want to die, like grab a gun and follow me down to the fort. And we were all just kind of like, no, we're not running towards the gunshot, obviously.
Oh my God. It was also my favorite line of the whole weekend was Ethel shouting, if you're going off for a gunfight, don't go in your costumes.
That was so funny.
Amazing. But it was so good. It was like really like, oh, there's something really going on down there. And we all collectively kind of decided, well, it just adds atmosphere. Like, it's fine. You can ADR the rest. And for now, it's supposed to be a Wild West town. Let's just keep going. So I was doing my I want to keep going. Let's just keep going. Come on, let's please just get this done. And we did it. We did manage to actually get the shot done. I was pretty happy with it. And then what? Then what, Morgan? What happened after that?
We're talking about the dramatic entrance.
Oh, there's so many. Just talk. Go on.
I hope we're thinking about the same thing, because I'm thinking about someone that came
No, I
stumbling.
think
You think about something else that came before this?
I was thinking about something else, but I don't know when it happened, so I was assuming it's during this point.
I think
we're being very cryptic.
We'll end on this, even if it's out of order. So we've finished filming. Whatever. We've done our bits.
Oh my God.
And someone comes stumbling into town, coughing, choking, spluttering, wanders into the tavern. They've got a book in their hand. They're bleeding from the mouth, and they collapse into the tavern. People are trying to see who it is. It's the art director, and everyone's like, what's going on? They're trying to find out what's happening. And they've got their journal, and they're holding it very eagerly for someone to grab, but they can't breathe through the blood, and they're trying to save them. Someone gets the book and lays it on the table, and there's a journal with a sketch of someone. No face. A sketch of someone in the journal. And a piece of paper. The piece of paper talks about a very expensive piece of artwork that had been stolen and bought on the black market, it was presumed. Very odd looking painting that was stolen in 1923. And I looked over the shoulder.
I remember you reading it so intently.
Reading it very intently. You know that fucking gif of Matthew McConaughey very eagerly smoking a cigarette? Like, picture me like that, looking at this piece of paper, putting it down, looking over it, and watching the art director's last breath. And going...
See, they didn't stumble into town. They were sat down having dinner or having some kind of food, and suddenly stood up and started coughing, and everyone was like, what on earth is happening? And yeah, I remember I was like scanning through this article over your shoulder, like, oh, it's about a painting that's worth lots of money. It's just a lot of text. It's like, person's dying.
It was
and next thing
good to know where that one came from.
Cyanide. It's cyanide.
It was in that moment. It was in that moment that Jack Danford realised that the money that was still on set somewhere had been embezzled into a painting, and if he wanted that money, he needed to find that painting.
Hello, Millie here, recording from the future or the present, or you know what I mean. I was a very bad podcaster in this last episode, and I forgot to thank all of our Patreons. In particular, thank you so much to Tom. Yeah, love Tom. Thank you so much, Tom. You are one of our newest subscribers, so thank you so much for supporting us. Keep the podcast running. Another announcement is that we are still running our charity raffle for Young Lives versus Cancer. This was something that we did a 24-hour stream for at the end of November, which was a great success. We have raised nearly £2,000, and you can help us reach our goal by buying raffle tickets. We've got some incredible prizes already announced on our Facebook page, including some sneaky tickets. Information about the tickets that we are having as raffle prizes will be out the same day as this podcast episode. So head on over to our Facebook page. You'll also find links to our new Discord server on the Facebook page. So feel free to click on a couple of links and help us out in any which way you can. You guys are all incredible. And thank you so much to Mattie, Morgan and Sol. This is the first of 4 episodes about Oasis. So I hope you enjoyed the first installment, and I'll see you guys soon for the next one. Bye!